Many individuals grapple with uncertainty, unsure of their life's purpose or lacking clear aspirations. They struggle to find their direction, adrift without defined goals or grand ambitions. However, a different kind of anguish affects others entirely. Those who possess a precise vision of what they desire. They constantly envision a more fulfilling existence. These are people brimming with objectives, detailed plans, innovative ideas, and profound dreams. They can vividly picture the person they are capable of becoming. Yet, despite this striking clarity regarding their potential, they remain stuck in their current circumstances. This is due to a peculiar and distressing psychological phenomenon. It's the painful reality of continuously seeing your true capabilities without ever transforming them into actual achievements. This experience is understood by very few. From an external perspective, such an action might easily be mistaken for mere idleness or a lack of motivation. But internally, the feeling is far more intricate and profound than simple laziness. It's not that they don't care about their future. On the contrary, they care so deeply that this very intensity becomes a paralyzing force, hindering any forward movement. They are acutely aware of their capacity for greater accomplishments, recognizing dormant abilities yet to be fully cultivated. Within them resides a more resilient, disciplined, self-assured, and capable version of themselves, waiting to emerge. This profound awareness is precisely why it causes such deep-seated pain. The knowledge of what they could be is a constant source of agony. With each passing day, there's a gnawing sense of drifting further away from this ideal self, intensifying the internal struggle. Many privately ponder a crucial question, one rarely articulated aloud. Am I truly squandering my life's potential? This isn't born from unhappiness or a life filled with misfortune. Rather, it stems from a conviction that something significant is being missed. They feel a powerful urge to experience a far grander, more authentic existence, sensing they are meant for something more expansive. This persistent feeling can haunt individuals for many years, revealing a peculiar trait among ambitious people. They possess a unique ability to perceive opportunities that remain entirely invisible to others. They vividly envision new projects, significant life changes, ambitious goals, and evolved future versions of themselves. The sharper and more defined this internal vision becomes, the more acutely painful their current reality can feel. This is because one begins to live in the constant company of a spectral presence. This phantom represents the person they could have become and the person they still have the potential to be. It is the very individual who materializes in their thoughts whenever they contemplate their future. Gradually, this once inspiring image ceases to motivate them. Instead, it begins to relentlessly pursue them. It starts to serve as a constant reminder of all the accomplishments still awaiting them. This includes everything they've postponed and the myriad promises they keep making to themselves for someday. Perhaps this represents one of the most subtle yet profound forms of psychological distress. It is the constant observation of the chasm between who they are and who they believe they ought to be. This perceived gap, unfortunately, does not simply vanish over time. It accompanies them during work, relaxation, while scrolling through their phone, and even as they attempt to find distraction. It is always present, serving as a stark reminder that an unfulfilled version of their life still awaits. However, there's a phenomenon at play that very few people truly comprehend. More often than not, you aren't genuinely in love with your actual goals. Instead, you're deeply enamored with the idea of those goals. This seemingly minor distinction actually makes an enormous difference in how we pursue things. For instance, the mere thought of writing a book is incredibly exciting and inspiring. Yet, the arduous process of actually sitting down and writing it is not always so thrilling. Similarly, the vision of transforming your life can feel profoundly inspiring and motivating. However, the practical steps required to enact that transformation are frequently uncomfortable and challenging. The concept of achieving success itself generates a powerful sense of hope and illusion. But the day-to-day journey and hard work involved rarely evoke that same immediate, exhilarating emotion. This fundamental disconnect is precisely why so many individuals find themselves stuck for years, unable to move forward. Imagining a successful future provides an instant, gratifying reward to our minds. Conversely, the act of working to build that future offers no such immediate satisfaction or payoff. Our brains, surprisingly, do not distinguish as effectively as we might think between a real experience and an imagined one. When you fantasize about a future accomplishment, you experience a small dose of satisfaction, a fleeting sense of progress, and a surge of hope. For a brief period, you feel better, uplifted by this imagined success and a temporary sense of relief. However, that fleeting comfort quickly vanishes once you return to your actual circumstances, which remain unchanged. This pattern can lead some individuals to develop a psychological dependence on potential itself, rather than actual, tangible results. They become fixated on all the things they could achieve, rather than focusing on concrete accomplishments. While they relish contemplating their numerous possible actions, they find it increasingly difficult to truly do anything. This struggle arises because potential exists in a perfect, unblemished state, completely unlike the messy reality of execution. Within your imagination, you can easily be brilliant, courageous, and exceptional in every way. But real-world endeavors force you to confront mistakes, setbacks, personal limitations, and self-doubt, which is far less appealing. This stark contrast might explain why many individuals become trapped in a perpetual state of preparation. They constantly learn, research, plan, and wait, always getting ready to start, yet never truly initiating action. The longer they remain in this holding pattern, a very specific and unwelcome emotion begins to surface: guilt. It's the guilt of knowing you could be doing something significant or feeling you're squandering abilities others would deeply desire. It's also the guilt of watching time slip by without making progress towards the life you genuinely aspire to build. This particular form of guilt is especially cruel because it rarely motivates action. Instead, it often leads to further avoidance. The worse you feel about yourself, the stronger your need to escape that discomfort, prompting you to seek distractions like social media, videos, or games to temporarily silence the unease. However, once these diversions fade, the underlying reality persists, and that familiar sense of guilt inevitably resurfaces. Consequently, many mistakenly believe their issue lies with a lack of discipline, when in truth, they're battling an internal conflict. One part of their being yearns for growth and advancement, while another instinctually seeks self-preservation and safety. One side desires to explore their true potential and limits, yet the other strives to sidestep any potential for failure entirely. These two opposing forces are locked in a continuous struggle, often fueled by an aspect of ambition rarely acknowledged. Ambition itself can be a source of profound fear, generating a deep sense of apprehension. This isn't just about the possibility of failure, but you might unearth the genuine boundaries of your capabilities, which can be a difficult truth to face. As long as an aspiration remains solely within your mind, it retains an unblemished, perfect quality. In this mental space, it still holds the potential to materialize into absolutely anything you imagine. It can continue to affirm your specialness and validate every expectation you hold for yourself, untouched by reality. However, the very moment you initiate action and begin to pursue it, everything fundamentally transforms. Reality starts providing feedback, and some of these responses might not align with your hopes or desires. This leads many to keep their dreams alive purely in their imagination, preferring an unblemished ideal over an imperfect, tested reality, unaware that by doing so, they are actually incurring a tremendous cost for this perpetual state of potential. The immense cost of this perpetual state of potential is becoming permanently stuck. They find themselves caught between their aspirations and taking action, between their vivid fantasies and harsh reality. They are suspended between the person they currently are and the person they envision themselves becoming. And the years inevitably go by. This, above all, is the most perilous aspect of it all. Time moves forward relentlessly, a characteristic we often overlook but which never truly ceases. While you hesitate, time advances. While you procrastinate, it continues its march. Even as you promise yourself you'll start tomorrow, time keeps moving onward. Then, one day, you look back and realize you've spent an eternity waiting to transform into someone who never materialized. Not because that potential self didn't exist, but because you never allowed it the space to grow and develop. However, there is indeed good news to be found in this situation. The version of yourself you imagine doesn't emerge before you act. It manifests only after you take action. Many people mistakenly believe they first need to feel prepared, secure, motivated, and confident before they can move forward. Yet, the way human psychology truly operates is precisely the opposite of this common belief. You act first, and then confidence follows. You advance first, and then security appears. You take the initial step, and only then do you truly discover the full extent of who you are capable of becoming. Most individuals delay starting, hoping to transform into a different person beforehand. However, those who truly achieve change recognize that such transformation only happens once they've begun. This realization fundamentally alters everything, moving beyond the need for motivation or inspiration. It's no longer about waiting for the perfect moment, but rather about something much simpler, making a single, definitive decision. This decision means ceasing to exist solely within the confines of your imagination. It's the choice to stop merely admiring your potential and instead commit to building something tangible. Even if what you create is imperfect, the act of building it makes it real. The truth is, your life will never truly change while confined to your thoughts alone. Real transformation, therefore, can only occur through concrete action taken outside of your mind. Perhaps the actual issue was never laziness, and you weren't as indolent as you once believed. It's possible you simply spent too much time coexisting with an imagined version of yourself. This was a stronger, more successful, braver, and more disciplined persona, existing only in your mind. The more you observed this idealized self, the harder it became to initiate any action. This was because the gap between who you were and who you imagined yourself to be widened daily. That growing distance isn't diminished by mere thought, dreams, or passive waiting. Perhaps the real obstacle wasn't ever true laziness, or that you were as indolent as you once presumed. Instead, this chasm narrows only through action, even if it's small, flawed, or taken with trepidation. Each single step you take, no matter how insignificant, carries an impact that often goes unnoticed by others. These consistent actions don't just transform your circumstances, they fundamentally reshape who you are. There comes a pivotal moment when you cease being the one who merely dreamed of achieving something. You evolve into the individual who actually initiated the journey, taking that crucial first stride. Then, you become the person who persistently kept going, day after day, through all challenges. Ultimately, you become the one who successfully built something that once seemed entirely unattainable. This, perhaps, marks the profound distinction between those who merely envision and those who truly transform their lives. It's not about possessing greater inherent talent, superior intelligence, or even more favorable luck than others. They simply stopped being captivated solely by the potential outcome and instead fell deeply in love with the process itself. Because ultimately, the version of yourself you've always yearned to be isn't waiting for you in some distant, abstract future. That ideal person is being actively forged and shaped by every single conscious decision you make today. Perhaps the moment has truly arrived to stop endlessly wondering who you could potentially become. It's time to actively begin the exhilarating process of discovering that person. What's your first step?